The massive chamber stretched as far as the eye could see. Thousands of alien beings filled the seats that rose in circles toward a domed ceiling made of crystal. Captain Minjun Park stood alone at the center, his hands bound behind his back. The air smelled strange, filled with the scents of hundreds of different worlds. Above him, floating screens showed his face to every corner of the chamber. He could see creatures with scales, beings made of light, insects the size of cars, and things that defied description. All of them were here to decide what would happen to humanity. The Supreme Chancellor Vex Thule moved forward on 6 legs. His insect-like head turned toward Park, compound eyes glittering. When he spoke, his voice echoed through speakers in every language. "We gather today to decide the fate of the species called humans from the planet Earth," Vex Thule announced. "These beings have been found to possess useful traits. The question before this council is simple. Should they be granted membership in our galactic community, or should they serve a more practical purpose?" Park's heart pounded. He knew what practical purpose meant. Slavery. A tall, reptilian creature stood up. Her scales were deep green, and she wore robes that sparkled with tiny lights. "I am Ambassador Ketara of the Zephyrian Empire," she said. "We have studied these humans carefully. They are strong, adaptable, and surprisingly clever for such a primitive species. However, they lack the wisdom for true civilization." Park wanted to shout, but the energy field around him prevented him from speaking unless given permission. Ketara continued. "Humans would make excellent workers. They can survive in many different environments. They breed quickly and follow orders when properly motivated. The Zephyrian Empire votes to classify humans as a labor resource." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some sounded like agreement, others like machinery grinding. A being made entirely of crystal floated upward. When it spoke, its voice rang like wind chimes. "The Crystalline Collective has also studied these creatures," it said. "Our analysis shows they lack true sentience. They act on emotion rather than logic. They fight among themselves constantly. They are little more than clever animals. We support the Zephyrian proposal." More voices joined in agreement. Park listened in, growing horror as species after species voted to enslave humanity. The Metallic Confederacy wanted humans for mining dangerous asteroids. The Gas Giant Federation needed workers for their floating cities. The hive minds saw humans as perfect drones. Only a few small voices spoke against the proposal. A peaceful species called the Harmony Singers said all life deserved freedom. A young civilization known as the Star Wanderers argued that slavery was wrong, but their voices were lost in the chorus of support for human bondage. Finally, Vex Thule turned to Park. "Human representative, you may now speak in your species' defense." The energy field around Park disappeared. He stepped forward, looking up at the thousands of aliens who held his people's fate in their claws, tentacles, and appendages. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," Park began, his voice steady despite his fear. "You speak of humans as if we are mere animals. You judge us by your standards and find us lacking. But you have never tried to understand what makes us human." He gestured toward the assembled aliens. "You see our emotions as weakness. We see them as strength. You call our conflicts primitive. We call them the growing pains of a young species learning to work together. You think our adaptability makes us good slaves. We know it makes us survivors." Park's voice grew stronger. "Humans have climbed from caves to stars in just a few thousand years. We have created art that moves the soul, music that touches the heart, and stories that inspire hope. We have medicine that heals, science that unlocks mysteries, and love that bonds us together." Some aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Park pressed on. "You think you can chain us? But you don't understand what you're trying to capture. Humanity isn't just bodies that can work. It's a spirit that refuses to bow." It's a fire that burns brighter when threatened. It's a storm that grows stronger when contained. The chamber fell silent. For a moment, Park thought his words had reached them. Then Vex Thul laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Primitive, emotional outbursts, he said dismissively. This only proves our point. Humans are driven by feelings, not reason. They cannot govern themselves, so they must be governed by others. The vote was called. Park watched in despair as species after species confirmed their decision. The final tally appeared on the screens. 844 votes for enslavement, 3 against. The decision is made, Vex Thul announced. Humanity will be classified as a labor resource and distributed among member species according to need. Earth has 30 days to prepare for integration into our workforce. As guards moved to escort Park away, he turned back to address the council one last time. You have made a mistake today, he said quietly. You think you understand humans, but you don't. We have a saying on Earth. Don't mistake kindness for weakness. You've just done exactly that. Ketera leaned forward. And what does that mean, little human? Park met her gaze directly. It means you should have chosen friendship over slavery, because now you'll learn what humans are really capable of when you take everything from them. The guards dragged him away. But his words echoed in the chamber long after he was gone. Some of the aliens looked troubled, but most had already moved on to other business. They had no idea that they had just awakened something in humanity that would shake the very foundations of their galactic civilization. The vote for slavery had been unanimous among the major powers. Soon, they would discover the terrible price of underestimating the human spirit. The alien ships appeared in Earth's sky like dark clouds blotting out the sun. There were hundreds of them, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. They moved with purpose, positioning themselves over every major city on the planet. Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the roof of the research facility in Seoul, watching the vessels descend. Her hands shook as she held the emergency communication device. Around her, other scientists and workers gathered, their faces filled with fear and confusion. This is it, she whispered to her colleague Dr. Kim. They're actually doing it. The first energy beams struck military bases around the world. Not destructive blasts, but something worse. The weapons disabled every electronic system they touched. Earth's defenses went dark in minutes. Fighter jets fell from the sky. Naval vessels stopped dead in the water. Communication networks collapsed. Then came the announcements, broadcast directly into every human mind through alien technology. Citizens of Earth, the mechanical voice said, your planet has been integrated into the galactic community as a labor resource. Resistance is futile and will result in termination. Report to collection points for processing and assignment. Sarah watched as massive ships landed in the city below. Aliens emerged, some walking on legs, others floating, still others crawling on multiple limbs. They moved with efficiency, setting up barriers and processing centers. Humans began gathering in long lines, confused and terrified. We have to hide, Dr. Kim said urgently. The underground tunnels. They ran through the facility, gathering as many people as they could. Sarah grabbed her most important research data, stuffing drives and papers into a bag. If humanity was going to survive this, they would need every advantage they could get. In the tunnels beneath Seoul, hundreds of people huddled in the darkness. Similar scenes played out around the world. Captain Min-jun Park's voice crackled through hidden radio transmitters, one of the few communication systems the aliens had missed. This is Captain Park speaking to all resistance cells. His voice was steady but grim. Earth has fallen, but we are not defeated. Go underground. Protect what you can. Remember who you are. We will survive this. The alien sorting process was brutally efficient. Humans were scanned, categorized, and divided based on their skills and physical capabilities. Families were torn apart without mercy. Children were separated from parents. Spouses were sent to different star systems. Commander Elena Volkov found herself standing in a metal cage with 50 other humans. The Crystalline Collective had selected her for mining operations in the Outer Rim. Her military training meant nothing here. She was just another piece of equipment to be shipped across space. "Where are they taking us?" asked a young woman beside her. "Away from Earth," Elena replied quietly. "Away from everything we know. Away from everything we know." The journey through space took weeks. Humans were kept in cargo holds, given just enough food and water to survive. Many fell sick. Some died. The aliens treated them like livestock, checking on them only to ensure their cargo remained viable. Dr. Chen found herself on a Zephyrian research vessel. The reptilian scientists were fascinated by human biology and intelligence. They wanted to study how human minds worked, how they adapted to new situations. Sarah realized with horror that her own research was being used to help them understand how to better control human slaves. "Your species is remarkably flexible," said the lead researcher, a tall Zephyrian named Dr. Stik. "This makes you valuable workers but also potentially dangerous. We must understand how to maintain proper discipline." "Stik." Sarah bit back her angry response. She was learning that survival meant playing along while gathering information. Every piece of knowledge about alien technology and psychology could be useful later. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, human slaves were being distributed to their new owners. Some went to mines where they extracted precious metals from asteroids. Others worked in alien cities, maintaining technology they barely understood. Many were sent to dangerous worlds to terraform them for alien colonization. The aliens had made one crucial mistake in their assessment of humanity. They saw adaptation as simple flexibility, like a tool that could be shaped for any purpose. They didn't understand that human adaptation came with memory, with learning, with the ability to turn any experience into knowledge. In the mines of the Outer Rim, Elena Volkov began mapping guard rotations and security systems. In the research labs, Sarah Chen memorized alien technology and communication protocols. On farm worlds, human workers learned the layouts of alien settlements and supply routes. Captain Park's resistance network managed to stay in contact through hidden transmitters and coded messages. Information flowed slowly but steadily between scattered human populations. They learned where their people were being held. They discovered alien weaknesses and technologies. Most importantly, they maintained hope. 3 months after the invasion, Park received a message that changed everything. It came from Dr. Chen, transmitted through a hijacked alien communication array. "I've found something," her coded message read. "The aliens have a central network that connects all their systems. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it has a weakness. Human unpredictability confuses their computer systems. We might be able to use this." Park stared at the message for a long time. Around him, in the underground bunker, resistance members worked quietly, planning small acts of sabotage and gathering intelligence. They had been thinking in terms of survival and rescue. Sarah's message suggested something much more ambitious. Something that might turn the tide completely. He began composing a response, his fingers steady on the keys. The aliens thought they had won. They thought humans were just another species to be broken and controlled. They were about to learn that enslaving humanity was the worst mistake they had ever made. The resistance was about to become something much more dangerous than scattered survivors hiding in tunnels. They were about to become the force that would shake the galaxy to its foundations. Dr. Sarah Chen's fingers moved quickly across the alien interface. After 6 months of pretending to cooperate with her Zephyrian captors, she had finally gained access to their primary research network. The reptilian scientists trusted her now, believing she had accepted her fate as their assistant. They had no idea she was stealing everything. Dr. Chen called Dr. Stek from across the laboratory. "Please, prepare the neural mapping equipment. We have new subjects arriving today." "Of course," Sarah replied, her voice steady. Inside, her heart raced. The new subjects would be human children, taken from their families for behavioral conditioning. She had watched this process before, seen how the aliens tried to break young minds and reshape them. Not today. As she worked, Sarah continued her real task. The alien computer system was incredibly complex, but she had discovered something amazing. Human creativity and unpredictability caused glitches in their logical networks. Every time she thought in truly human ways, the system hiccuped. She had been using these moments to copy data, map communication networks, and locate human populations across the galaxy. More importantly, she had found a way to send messages through the alien system without detection. Her latest discovery was the most important yet. The aliens used a single, massive network to coordinate everything. Ships, bases, slave camps, even their government communications all flowed through connected systems. If someone could access the central hub, they could potentially disrupt the entire galactic infrastructure. Sarah finished uploading her newest intelligence packet and sent it through the hidden channels to Earth. Captain Park and his resistance network had grown stronger over the months, establishing contact with human populations on dozens of worlds. On the mining asteroid designated as Facility 7, Commander Elena Volkov received Sarah's transmitted data through her hidden communication device. Around her, 200 human miners worked under the watchful eyes of crystalline guards. The aliens had underestimated human stubbornness. Instead of breaking under the harsh conditions, the humans had grown harder, more determined. Elena studied the information carefully. Sarah had provided detailed schematics of the facility's security systems, guard rotations, and most importantly, the location of the communication hub that connected the asteroid to the galactic network. Tonight, Elena whispered to her closest allies, "We make our move." The plan was simple but dangerous. While most humans created a distraction in the main mining area, Elena and a small team would seize the communication hub. From there, they could coordinate with resistance cells on other worlds for a synchronized uprising. As the mining shift ended, Elena gathered her people, 12 humans, all former military or security personnel, all burning with anger at their treatment. They had spent months observing their captors, learning alien technology, and preparing for this moment. "Remember," Elena said quietly, "we're not just fighting for ourselves. Every human in the galaxy is counting on us. This is our chance to show these aliens what a mistake they made." The distraction began at midnight. A fight broke out in the barracks, seemingly random but carefully planned. Guards rushed to contain the situation, leaving other areas less defended. Elena's team moved through maintenance tunnels, avoiding detection. The communication hub was protected by energy barriers and 2 crystalline guards. The aliens were confident in their security, never imagining that their slaves would dare attack such a vital system. They learned otherwise when Elena and her team struck with military precision. Using alien tools they had stolen and modified, they disabled the barriers and overwhelmed the guards before an alarm could be raised. Elena's hands flew over the alien controls, following Sarah's instructions to access the galactic network. As data flowed across the screens, she began broadcasting a message to every hidden resistance cell in known space. "This is Commander Elena Volkov, calling all human resistance units. Operation Liberation begins now. Repeat. Operation Liberation begins now. Remember who you are. Remember what they took from us. Make them pay." Across the galaxy, similar uprisings began. On the agricultural world of Kepler 442b, human farmers turned their tools into weapons and seized alien supply depots. In the floating cities of the gas giant Federation, maintenance workers sabotaged life support systems, forcing their captors to evacuate. On Research Station Alpha 7, Dr. Sarah Chen finally dropped her mask of cooperation. As Zephyrian scientists worked late into the night, she activated a virus she had been carefully constructing. The alien computers began crashing throughout the facility. Emergency lights flashed as systems failed. "What is happening?" Dr. Sesthek demanded, his scales shifting color in agitation. "Freedom," Sarah replied calmly. She pulled out a modified alien communicator and spoke into it. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen. The research facility is ours. Beginning data extraction of all alien technology and prisoner locations." The Zephyrian reached for an alarm, but Sarah was faster. Months of pretending to be weak had hidden her true capabilities. She struck with precision, disabling the alien before he could call for help. Other humans emerged from hiding places throughout the facility. They had been planning this for months, waiting for the signal. Within minutes, they had secured the entire research station and begun downloading every piece of information they could find. Captain Min-jun Park received reports of successful uprisings from 17 different worlds. In his hidden bunker beneath Seoul, he felt something he hadn't experienced since the invasion: hope. But this was just the beginning. Park activated his emergency broadcast system, sending a message to every human on Earth and beyond. His voice was strong and clear, filled with determination that had sustained him through the darkest months of their enslavement. "My fellow humans," he began. "Today, we strike back. For 6 months, we have suffered in silence. We have been beaten, separated, and treated like animals. The aliens thought they had broken us. They thought we would accept our chains and forget who we are." He paused, looking around at the resistance members in the bunker. Each face showed the same fierce determination. They were wrong. We are human. We adapt, we survive, and we remember. Today, we begin to show the galaxy what humans are truly capable of when pushed too far. This is not just rebellion. This is revolution. We will not stop until every human is free, and every alien who supported our enslavement understands the price of their cruelty. The message spread through hidden networks, reaching human populations across known space. In slave camps and work facilities, humans heard Park's words and felt something ignite in their hearts. The galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They had taken a young, eager species that wanted to join their community and turned them into enemies. They had scattered humans across the stars, thinking distance would prevent organization. Instead, they had created a network of resistance that spanned thousands of worlds. They had given humans access to alien technology and knowledge. Most dangerously, they had given humanity a common enemy and a shared purpose. The age of human slavery was ending. The age of human fury was about to begin. The first alien to die was a Zephyrian overseer on mining platform Delta 9. Commander Elena Volkov had waited 3 days after the uprising began, watching the alien pace nervously as reports of human revolts reached the facility. When he raised his weapon toward a group of human children, Elena struck without hesitation. The overseer's death sent shockwaves through the alien command structure. Humans were not supposed to kill their masters. They were supposed to be controlled, manageable, grateful for the civilization they had been given. But as reports flooded in from across the galaxy, it became clear that something fundamental had changed. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the control room of the captured research station, watching data streams from dozens of human resistance cells. The information flowing through alien networks told an incredible story. Humans were not just rebelling. They were winning. "How is this possible?" asked Dr. Kim, who had been rescued from a slave transport 3 days earlier. "We're scattered across hundreds of worlds. How are we coordinating so effectively?" Sarah smiled grimly. "Because they made a crucial mistake. They thought spreading us out would weaken us. Instead, it gave us access to their entire infrastructure. Every human slave learned something about alien technology, psychology, or operations. Now we're sharing all that knowledge." On Earth, Captain Park emerged from his underground bunker for the first time in months. Above ground, alien occupation forces were in full retreat. Human resistance fighters had captured their landing sites and commandeered their ships. The technology gap that had made invasion so easy was rapidly closing. Park walked through the streets of Seoul, amazed at what he saw. Humans had not just survived the occupation. They had learned from it. Captured alien weapons were being reverse-engineered. Stolen computers were being reprogrammed. Most importantly, humans were adapting alien tactics and improving on them. "Report," Park said to his communications officer, Lee Min-ho. "Sir, we have confirmed human uprisings on 47 worlds," Lee replied. "Slave populations are seizing facilities faster than alien security forces can respond. The enemy is in complete disarray." But Park knew the real war was just beginning. The aliens would not accept these losses passively. Soon, they would bring their full military might to bear on the human rebellion. He was right. Supreme Chancellor Vex Thule stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council, his compound eyes reflecting fury. Behind him, holographic displays showed the extent of human rebellion. Red markers indicated captured facilities, hijacked ships, and liberated populations. "How did this happen?" demanded Ambassador Ketara. Her green scales had darkened with stress. "Humans are primitive. They should not be capable of this level of coordination." "We underestimated them," admitted a crystalline representative, its voice chiming with distress. "Our analysis focused on their individual capabilities, not their collective potential." Vex Thule's mandibles clicked angrily. "Analysis is worthless now. We face a galaxy-wide insurgency that threatens our entire civilization. These humans have stolen our technology and turned it against us. They must be completely eliminated." End quote. The vote for human extermination passed quickly. 723 species in favor. 121 opposed or abstaining. Unlike the vote for slavery, this decision faced significant opposition. Many species had been disturbed by reports of human children being taken from their families. Others worried about the precedent of genocide. But fear won out. The combined fleets of the galactic powers began mobilizing for the largest military operation in recorded history. On the agricultural world of New Eden, Dr. Sarah Chen worked frantically to complete her latest project. She had discovered something remarkable in the alien research data. A weakness in their technological immune systems that could be exploited on a massive scale. "Sarah, you need to see this," called Dr. Kim from another workstation. "I'm reading massive fleet movements throughout this sector. They're bringing everything they have." Sarah looked up from her work, her eyes burning with exhaustion and determination. "Good. Let them come. I'm almost finished." What she was creating would change everything. Using human creativity and alien technology, she had developed something the aliens could never have imagined. A virus that attacked not just computer systems, but the logical thinking patterns that all alien technology relied upon. "How much longer?" asked the human commander, defending the facility. 6 hours, Sarah replied. "I need 6 hours to finish and upload this to the galactic network." "You'll have them," the commander promised. Across the galaxy, human resistance cells received the same message. Hold for 6 hours. Everything depended on it. Commander Elena Volkov read the message while standing on the bridge of a captured alien dreadnought. Her mining facility had been just the beginning. Over the past weeks, her forces had seized 3 more ships and 2 orbital platforms. She now commanded a fleet of stolen vessels, crewed by former slaves who had become warriors. "Ma'am," her communications officer reported, "long-range sensors are picking up massive alien fleet movements. Looks like they're converging on our position." Elena studied the tactical display. Hundreds of alien ships were approaching from multiple directions. Her small fleet was outnumbered 50 to 1. "Send a message to all human forces," she ordered. "We hold here for 6 hours. no matter the cost. The future of humanity depends on it. The battle began at the edge of the star system. Alien ships opened fire, with weapons designed to disable, rather than destroy. They still hoped to recapture their stolen vessels intact. It was another mistake in a long series of miscalculations. Elena's forces fired back with captured weapons set to maximum destruction. Human gunners, trained on alien systems over months of slavery, proved devastatingly accurate. The first wave of attackers was shattered before they could close to effective range. But more ships kept coming. On 17 different worlds, similar battles raged. Humans fought with the fury of the oppressed and the desperation of the condemned. They had nothing left to lose and everything to gain. Captain Park stood in the command center on Earth, watching global displays show the progress of battles across known space. Every human life lost was a tragedy, but their sacrifice was buying precious time for Sarah's plan to work. Signal from Dr. Chen, his communications officer announced. She's ready to upload. Park felt his heart stop. Everything they had fought for came down to this moment. Do it, he said quietly. Light years away, Sarah Chen pressed a single key on her computer. Her virus exploded into the galactic network like wildfire, spreading through every connected system. Alien computers began failing not because of brute force attacks, but because they could not process human-style chaotic thinking patterns. Ships stopped in space as their navigation systems crashed. Weapons powered down, as targeting computers failed to understand human combat tactics. Communication networks collapsed as the virus spread exponentially through every connection. In one stroke, humanity had turned the galaxy's greatest strength, its interconnected technology, into its greatest weakness. The age of alien dominance was ending. The age of human liberation had begun. The silence in the Galactic Council chambers was deafening. For the first time in centuries, the Great Hall was empty, except for a handful of alien representatives huddled together in the lower seats. The mighty species that had once commanded thousands of worlds now sat in defeat, their fleets destroyed or captured, their technology useless. Captain Minjun Park walked slowly down the center aisle, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. Behind him marched representatives of humanity from across the galaxy, former slaves who had become liberators, scientists who had turned alien knowledge against its creators, and military leaders who had proven that human determination could overcome any technological advantage. Park stopped at the speaker's podium, where, 1 year ago, he had begged for his species' freedom and been dismissed as primitive. Now he stood as the representative of the force that had brought galactic civilization to its knees. Supreme Chancellor Vexthul crouched in the defendant's area, his once proud carapace scarred and dull. Around him sat the few surviving leaders of species that had voted for human slavery. Many others were dead, their worlds in ruins, their peoples fleeing to the outer systems. 1 year ago, Park began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. You sat in judgment of humanity. You decided we were not worthy of freedom, not capable of civilization, not deserving of dignity. You made us your slaves and scattered us across the galaxy like tools to be used and discarded. He gestured to the humans standing behind him. You see before you the children you stole from their families, the workers you sent to die in your mines, the scientists you forced to build weapons for your wars. You called us primitive, but we adapted. You called us weak, but we endured. You called us divided, but we united. Dr. Sarah Chen stepped forward, carrying a datapad containing the evidence they had gathered. The charges against you are documented with your own records, she said. Systematic enslavement of a sentient species, separation of families, forced labor resulting in death, use of children as experimental subjects, murder of those who resisted. One of the surviving Zephyrian representatives tried to stand. You must understand, she said desperately. We believed you were animals. Our scientists said you lacked true consciousness. We thought we were being merciful by giving you purpose." Commander Elena Volkov laughed bitterly. "Merciful? I watched you work human children to death because they couldn't meet your quotas. I saw you separate mothers from their babies because it was more efficient. You didn't think we were animals. You knew we were people, and you enslaved us anyway. I'm another one." Ambassador Ketara, who had been one of the first to support human enslavement, now spoke from the defendant's area. "We were wrong," she said quietly. "We acted out of fear and arrogance. We saw your potential, and instead of embracing it, we tried to contain it. We deserve whatever judgment you pass." Park nodded slowly. "Yes, you do. But the question is what justice looks like. You gave us a choice between slavery and extinction. We give you a choice between accountability and chaos." He activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Hundreds of worlds were marked in red, indicating complete system collapse. Others showed yellow, meaning partial recovery under human protection. A growing number glowed green, representing worlds that had chosen to join the new order humanity was creating. "Your interconnected technology was your strength," Dr. Chen explained. "But when we introduced chaos into your logical systems, everything collapsed. Ships dead in space, planets cut off from supply lines. Entire species facing starvation because they forgot how to grow food without automated systems. We could leave you like this," Elena said coldly. "Let you experience the helplessness we felt when you invaded our worlds. But unlike you, we understand that true strength comes from protecting those who cannot protect themselves." Park stepped closer to the defendants. "This is what humanity offers. Rehabilitation, not revenge. Help rebuilding your civilizations, not abandonment. But in exchange, you will accept the new galactic order we are establishing." He signaled to his aide, who began projecting the new charter they had written. "The Sentient Rights Accord," Park announced. "Every thinking being has the right to freedom, dignity, and self-determination. Slavery is abolished throughout the galaxy. Any species that practices it will face the full force of the Human Liberation Fleet." Vex Thul finally spoke, his voice a whisper. "You would help us? After what we did?" "Because of what you did," Park replied. "We learned what happens when the strong oppress the weak. We will not repeat your mistakes." Over the following months, the new order took shape. Humans established monitoring stations throughout the galaxy, ensuring that the Sentient Rights Accord was observed. Species that had supported slavery found themselves under strict supervision, but not destroyed. The Crystalline Collective, which had been among the most brutal slavers, was required to open their worlds to refugee populations and provide reparations to former slaves. The Zephyrian Empire saw its leadership replaced by those who had opposed slavery, with humans working alongside them to rebuild their society. Dr. Sarah Chen established a new research network that shared technology freely among all species, with strict safeguards against its use for oppression. Her virus, refined and improved, served as a permanent guardian against any attempt to recreate the old systems of control. Commander Elena Volkov took command of the Human Defense Force, a fleet dedicated to protecting emerging civilizations from exploitation. Her ships bore the scars of their origin as slave vessels, transformed into symbols of liberation. 5 years after the Great Rebellion, Park stood again in the council chambers. This time, the hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of species, including many that had never before been allowed to participate in galactic government. A young alien approached the podium, a member of a species that had just achieved spaceflight. They had been contacted not by slavers, but by human diplomats offering friendship and protection. "Thank you," the young being said simply, "for showing us that the strong can choose to protect rather than exploit, for proving that justice is possible." Park smiled, thinking of all the humans who had died to make this moment possible. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. "Welcome to the galactic community," he said. "A real community, built on respect rather than fear. Together, we will ensure that no species ever again faces the choice between slavery and extinction." In the audience, Ambassador Ketara watched the ceremony with tears in her ancient eyes. She had lived to see the galaxy transformed by the very species she had helped to enslave. It was, she thought, exactly the justice they deserved. The humans had kept their promise. They had brought not just rage, but redemption to the stars.